Justin Jefferson's game was not that good. So Justin Jefferson had a very productive day against the Green Bay Packers. The Vikings with a statement win, 23-7. First game with Kevin O'Connell as the head coach and kind of the new offense and a commitment to making Justin Jefferson into this Cooper Kupp caliber target. He had 9 receptions on 11 targets, 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's obviously a very productive game. There's no two ways about that. Turn on the film. Of Jefferson's 9 catches, 2 came against man coverage. One of them was a quick, it was on the first drive. It was a bang 8 against Eric Stokes. Lovely route, gorgeous route. Exactly what we expect from Jefferson. Super slippery, great hands, very nice. The other was a hurry up play in which the Packers were kind of scrambling. It's pretty hard to tell what coverage they were in. They may have even been in zone, but they have 2 crossers. This is the one that Kirk threw really, really poorly. Jefferson had to wait for it and kind of elevate for it. Great catch, explosive play. The other 7 came against zone. There's nothing wrong with catching balls against zone. It's not that the receiver is worse because he caught footballs against zone. However, as Jair Alexander very, concisely put it after this game, they did not have the sort of game plan that assumed the opposing team had a star wide receiver 1 that was going to get 11 targets, right? If you have that guy, you tend to try to man him up with your best corner. Instead, they elected to play a lot of zone. And when you go and you watch Jefferson's explosives, you don't see unbelievable route running and contested catches and the skills of an elite wide receiver, even though Jefferson certainly has them. The Packers just busted coverage for 4 straight quarters. It was such bad defense. So the first Justin Jefferson touchdown is a play with multiple motion, right? It's a very common play. Devontae Adams used to do a bunch with the Packers. Freaking like the Chargers scored on it with like a fullback in week 1 as well. You send you send Justin Jefferson flying across the field at the snap. The Packers miscommunicate who's supposed to run with him. He's wide open to the pylon, walks in. His second touchdown, which was the huge deep crosser, catches the ball with nobody within 20 yards of him. Everybody on the Packers defense is playing zone except for Rasul Douglas, who's positive it's man coverage. Jair Alexander goes to pass Jefferson's route off to the other side of the field. There's nobody there to receive it. It's miscommunication. This is all like great. Oh, I forgot the worst ones. Justin Jefferson caught an out route because Preston Smith was the quarters zone cover guy underneath him. Preston Smith, who plays outside linebacker and is 275 pounds, was the closest defender. There was another one where Quay Walker, first year rookie middle linebacker at 245, was the closest defender to Justin Jefferson. When you're playing this zone and when you're the Packers trying to keep these linebackers on the field, you're going to end up with linebackers near Justin Jefferson. Linebackers generally don't cover receivers well, independent of the talent of the wide receiver, let alone receivers of Justin Jefferson's caliber. All of this is like great news. It's not bad news at all. Like the fact that Jefferson has had more impressive games where he's like beaten tighter coverage and had more impressive catches is sick because Jefferson's an extremely good receiver. But this is awesome news because it shows that unlike Vikings offenses of the past, the Kevin O'Connell Vikings has now said, hey, if you're just going to give us free Justin Jefferson yardage, we're going to throw that all of the time. Like how many games was it like Justin Jefferson 7 targets, Adam Thielen 9 targets? You're like, what is the point of this? Who's this helping? This is not good for anybody. Kirk just was willing to throw it to Justin Jefferson, like on the bang 8, on the speed out with Preston Smith next to him. The easy stuff that like should be effortless was effortless. And so when you get games in which Jefferson is matched by an actual star corner and like they try to send extra resources to him, Jefferson's going to have impressive reps and he's going to win those. But the whole like Jefferson's the MVP talk, only if
who's saying that? Who is doing a Jefferson is MVP after 1 week talk?
Every single NFL social media account was doing it.
Oh my gosh! All right.
Okay, Jefferson Offensive Player of the Year. Jefferson's going to win the Triple Crown like Cooper Kupp did. Only if every team tries to pass off every route in zone and busts 95 times a game like the Packers defense did. This was an atrocious defensive performance by the Packers. Jefferson produced a lot, but if you're looking to like impress people with Jefferson's wide receiver talent, pick a different game because this was just like layup stuff.
I'm in awe. I feel like I just need to go take a walk outside for 20 minutes
like this one.
to wrap my. I'm just very confused by your framing of your. We're debuting this Monday night show, and your framing of your first one is so like. Why didn't you say you should have come out and said the Packers were a disaster on defense? Like, why? What does this have to do with Justin Jefferson? He doesn't get to the line of scrimmage and say, all right, you have to play cover one here. Okay, you've got to, hey, put Jair Alexander on me. He's doing the plays. I don't think your take is crazy. If the take is arguing against this was the greatest wide receiver performance we've ever seen, or even the greatest wide receiver performance we've ever seen from Justin Jefferson, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, last year he was just taking over games, I think, in a similar way. And if you told me some of those games were more impressive because what the defenses were doing, I would say, all right, yeah, that's totally reasonable. I don't think that's nuts. But either you could have said, hey, my take is that it's a new day. I'll tell you my take because we're talking about the Vikings anyway. My take is that the Vikings overreaction this week is justified. And that's because they were just taking advantage of every screw up that the Packers had. And they were finding ways to make the Packers bust covers. Now, we can debate, is that more the Packers playing bad defense or the Vikings doing things schematically? I think it's always a little bit of both. But there are a lot of people who thought this Packers defense was going to be pretty good going into this season. And they just absolutely picked them apart the entire game. How about this number from ESPN Stats and Information? Jefferson gained 138 yards on plays where there was not a Packers defender within 3 yards of him. So that backs up what you're saying, but also good job Vikings for doing that.
Yes, but the framework is, I'm trying to get the clicks, man, the headlines, all right? Okay. Like a podcast, Jefferson not that good, and then you really bring him in. No, but it's and like this, the hang up is when you ask me who's calling Jefferson the MVP, because to me, like, I was watching that game and I was like, geez, the Packers are a mess. And they just, let's name some names. PFF Social, and every sports book in the world.
Oh, wow.
Just like
naming names now.
To me, just like Justin Jefferson, Offensive Player of the Year locked up, question mark. Okay, it's week one and there are no defenders near him. Like it's that sort of stuff where it's like, okay, usually when a guy has a 184-yard performance, at some point somewhere in that, some other player royally effed up to lead to like massive gain, right? Like we just watched Jerry Jeudy, huge 67-yard touchdown catch. We all know that should have been either a pass breakup or a tackle because the corner had the ability to play on that ball. And so Jefferson's awesome. He's going to have a great season. The Vikings arrow is up because everything around Jefferson, was put him in a position to have this game. But a very large piece of this pie was the Packers being a mess defensively. And I did think about having one of my takes be like, hey, Matt LaFleur, the preseason might be an interesting thing to investigate in terms of getting your team ready for week one. Because this is 2 consecutive seasons now that you have walked out in week one and nobody on your team has known which way is north, man. I mean, it's just been ugly performances for the Packers early in the season the last 2 years.